Welcome to the sandship. Ahoy everyone once again, and welcome back to more of the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Previously on our journey, we made our way to the Sand Sea, an area that is, well, sand, but was once a sea, where we eventually were able to track down enough clues to find out where the sandship was, the place we're on right now, the place where the Sacred Flame is supposedly being kept. We found our way here, and, well, that's pretty much all there was to it. This time, we're going to explore the sand ship and try to find that Sacred Flame. So, let's get into it. As you can tell immediately, of course, the ship has seen better days, presumably. We have a stool here, there is a statue here, and yes, in case you're curious, this is actually a dungeon. This is a really unique concept at being a pirate ship, especially considering every other dungeon we've really much experienced so far felt like what you'd expect a dungeon to be. It's like some ancient place where people prayed, or it's a temple. The most unique one up to this point in terms of its theming was the mine, but even that kind of feels like a dungeon. The sandship, though, doesn't necessarily feel like that, so it could be something that actually catches you off guard a little bit with this being a dungeon. Which, again, I don't blame you. A few goddess butterflies around here. Let's see if we can figure out where exactly they're trying to tell us to go. Because as you can see, they kind of scatter around. I think it's this wall, probably? Let me look. There we go, yep. So there's a wall here, again. Still not gonna really say what that does, but again, mention the heart drawing thing. There's one here for the goddess walls. But yeah, it's a really unique concept for a dungeon, and in fact, this is actually kind of a spoiler, I guess, my favorite dungeon in the entire game, in terms of its theming and stuff. So, we're gonna hopefully see why I like this one so much, outside of just it being a frickin' pirate ship, which is super cool. So as we progress, of course, we're gonna have to deal with a lot of enemies, like bats and, you know, probably baby scorpions, because, again, it's an old ship. But our hope is to find the Sacred Flame. As you can see, there's like a little bit of flame symbol on the doors, so maybe they're just openly advertising that that's what they're storing here. Who knows? Oh, come on, dude. There we go. That should kill him. Okay. So, we can see there's also a bunch of skeletons, presumably for where enemies once were. You can see there's a lot of barbed wire areas, which, of course, we can't get past because it's barbed wire. And a lot of locked rooms. And again, we really have no way of accessing any of these places, so that guy sucks. Yep, speaking of baby scorpions, there's one. Get out of here. So I guess we'll just keep looking. So far, we haven't really found anything that we can interact with. Everything's kind of sealed off by switches and stuff, which is a little disconcerting, and that is more disconcerting than anything else. We have a hallway fill these things. This is a, I think, not even just an arachnid's greatest fear. I think it's just a fear of anyone with common sense. I mean, if you saw this hallway like this, I mean, would you really want to come down this thing by any means? I'm just saying. But hey, you know what? Thankfully, they're easy to fight. They aren't really the most dangerous creatures in the world. As you can see, that one, they even made Link make the hurt sound effect, didn't even do any damage. So, maybe they're not all that bad. I mean, they're bad, but they're not that bad. You can see there's another stool there. What? Master, please look. This large door here is sealed shut. This door must lead to an important room in the ship. Okay, and by the looks of the lock, it does sort of look like some of the other boss doors, so presumably that is where our Sacred Flame is being held, which it's kind of crazy to think that we already may have an idea as to where that is this early. It is a ship, so it's a lot more confined than your typical dungeon, right? But still, generally part of the challenge is having to get dungeon door, because usually that's further, oh my god, further in. I think that's the first time we've actually seen electric keys up to this point. They're the same as the normal keys, but, you know, electric, so they can shock you if you hit them. I think that's the first time we've seen them. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure. Maybe that's the only time, though, up to this point that I've seen them in terms of visually, like, actually do the electric attack. Like, maybe we've run into them, but they haven't used their special thing or whatnot. So as you can see, there's a bunch of sand here that we can try to, of course, move it around so we can take a gander at things around us. See, there's a little bit of a symbol there, and we can also get rid of some of the sand over there. I'm just trying to avoid these guys. I really don't feel like fighting them, if I'm being honest with you. But we can actually just go through here, because it looks like they were blocked off, or this room was blocked off by an electric fence, which is something, thankfully, we don't have to worry about being turned on, since, you know, it's an old ship. A lot of the stuff that was once powered isn't anymore. Similar to the Ancient Cistern, we have a puzzle that is going to require us to use one of these swing lock things. So as you can see, based on how they describe it, they give you a few hints. You can see there's some of the same images of a ship pirate wheel or whatever here. You can see there's red on the top, so presumably that's going to be the top here. So it seems like we have bottom. So let's hit it from the bottom, like that. And then looking over at the other ones, you may notice that they have different amounts of red. So for example, this one has 2, 3, and 4. And again, presuming that the red is the top, so we're going to hit the top, bottom again. So let's hit top and then bottom. I'm just going to get the sword out so I don't accidentally swing and hit it in the wrong place. Bottom. And then the last one should be to the right. There we go. Not super complicated, but it is one that, again, may throw you for a loop the first time you get here, since you have to pay attention to the small details of like where the red's at and things like that. What do we have in here? Small key. Of course, those are quite often very useful. Nice to get it now. It's kind of weird that they put a key behind a locked door, but whatever. Can't go that way as that one's blocked up by barbed wire. So now we just pretty much have to head up back through the pirate ship to find a locked door that we can interact with, which, you know, that shouldn't be too difficult. I think most of them are blocked off by like the barbed wire spike things there, and we're just completely locked off by iron bars. So hopefully it shouldn't be too challenging to find a locked door in here. Excuse me. As we move forward throughout this dungeon, in case you're curious, you can, of course, leave at any time through the statues, so you're not confined here, though it may seem like that, comparatively to some of the other dungeons where you actually have like a straight-up entrance and exit. So yeah, if you need to regroup or you want to get a few more potions or something, you can do that, and I barely made that, so that was a little scary. Nope, I was hoping for some health there. Both of those we can't access. One has iron bars, the other has barbed wire, so neither of which we can really interact with. Let's keep looking. Hopefully we'll find something. I think the other way is completely, has nothing on it. Like, that hallway has nothing, I'm pretty sure. Let's keep looking around. Who do we have up here? Well, here we have a locked door. I'll use it. And here is one of the coolest mini-boss fights in all of Skyward Sword. LD-002S Skirvo. This multitudinous robot stole the ship from Skipper long ago. He still commands the ship today. When fighting in a narrow space like this, it is more effective to use thrust attacks with your sword than to try to swing your sword widely. As she says, our stabs are going to be more effective than anything else. He is an interesting fight. As you can see, stabs are your main form of doing damage here and pushing him back. After a few hits, something he's going to try to do is he will, as he's toppling over, you can see how he holds his sword to the right. You'll just need to counter it, and then you can stab him again to push him even further back. Sometimes he'll do that, where he'll use his hook instead to counter and try to push you back, but you can actually shield bash him to quite easily counter as long as you want to. And again, with the Sacred Shield, it's a little bit more forgiving because then it also has time to heal. And I don't even know if the mechanics of that make sense, but sure. So now our fighting space is even more confined. As you can see, the main goal of this fight is to push each other off the edge. So for example, there I missed the counter, but my shield is just going to regen. Unfortunately, I got an extra hit because he did the swap thing. There we go. Got a stab in. But it's a really dynamic fight, and it's just really cool to fight an actual freaking pirate. I don't know about you. Maybe it's my inner kid, but I think it's really cool. Get that spin attack in because it pushes him back even further. Go for the stab or two. Oop, that was close. Again, get that stab in. Helps push him back. Got another one of those. Again, just wait a moment so you can see where his sword's gonna go. Shouldn't be too difficult. And now he's down to one arm. Or what's left of his arm, because it's a hook. But he's also a robot, so I'm guessing he was designed with that in mind. Anyway, so now at this point, it is mostly going to be about countering his attacks. And as you can see, he is going to now start using electricity to his advantage with that hook. You want to be careful, because, of course, electricity is never good. I recommend instead of just trying to counter, just let him swing into the ground. That gives you even more time to counter and simply push him back. We are the captain now. Master, that synthetic life form, there is a 99% chance that that was the pirate described by the captain. I can't help but admire the tenacity it has displayed in staying alive and functional all these years. Interesting to kind of see Fee start mentioning stuff that doesn't really matter, like her saying she admires the pirate captain for staying active. Keep in mind, they're both more synthetic life forms. They're not really alive in the same sense that we are. What's the booty we got from that pirate? That sounded a little weird. You got the bow. Now you can hit targets at a very long range. Arrows also do a lot more damage than Deku Seeds. Essentially an upgrade to the slingshot, but not exactly because it doesn't replace it. As you can see, is our last item in that wheel there. Master, report about your bow you've just obtained. Your bow's elasticity can propel arrows through the air with great force, allowing you to strike your targets from afar. To confirm the controls associated with your bow, raise your bow by pressing ZR, then press right on the directional pad. You can also shoot arrows to strike certain devices in order to activate them. I have confirmed that such a device exists on the deck. Oh, I didn't read that. I'm sorry. I assumed that... Okay, that's my bad. I'm assuming it said something like, however, I don't know if the device will work or something. So yeah, now we have the bow and arrow, which is, as I said, pretty much an upgrade to the Deku slingshot, but not exact, because the Deku slingshot can do its own things too. It's not an exact, you know, replacement, but it's essentially just a different form of it that accomplishes different things. Sit on the stool there to replenish our health. And that was a super cool fight. I don't know about you, but my goodness, I love the frickin' pirate duel with that guy. So as you can see here, this was the device the camera zoomed in on. So as you can see, as you hold down ZR, it will zoom in, you'll get that little red arrow there, which will mean you're more precise with your shot. It's pretty straightforward. Bows are pretty cut and dry in terms of how they actually function. I feel like there's not much to explain about them. Master, I have important information for you. There's a 90% chance that the object you see over there is a time shift stone. If you could deliver an impact to it by some means, it could have a significant effect on the ship. Okay, well, don't know about you, but I feel like our only real option is to get an arrow, and with my unsteady hands, bam. Because unlike a Deku Seed, it actually is able to strike those and turn them on, like our sword would. Probably due to the sharp edge an arrow has. And we're blocked in. So as you can see, the time shift stone is one of those bigger ones. It actually makes all of the ship shiny and new. So essentially how it was back when presumably the pirate captains were actually still on it. The robot guy and stuff. And as you can see, there's even more Bokoblin pirates. They have their bandana, but they're not exactly the same. You got 10 arrows. You can shoot these with your bow. You have a limited supply, so shoot carefully. Yep, so in case you were curious about arrows running out of them, because they are still an ammunition type, you can find them in barrels scattered around the ship, so you shouldn't be too concerned to use them as you need. As you can hear, there's a few Bokoblins going wild. Not nearly as cool as their captain, per se, but hey, you know, they're still a pirate, you know, esque. They have the bandana on. That's kind of a pirate, you know, wardrobe. Here's something I want to show, which is if we get our whip and target this guy, we can actually grab the monster horn from his hip. Something that Fee did describe to us, and something I mentioned that we could kind of do after he got the whip in the ancient cistern and stole the key from one of the Bokoblins. It is something you are by any means not forced to do, but hey, grabbing those when you can, you might as well. I really shouldn't have probably broken those, but it's whatever. Also over here, you can see that there are a few Bokoblins up there. Well, thankfully, our bow is a pretty useful tool for more than just puzzle solving, as you can see, you can snipe some of these guys off if your aim is true, something that my aim is often not. And as you can see, that makes it much easier to have to worry about them potentially launching stuff at us, especially when we're like super weak, because when we're on the ladder, of course, we're essentially powerless. We have nothing to really fight back with until we get up here. So it's nice as it fends them off for a little bit until we get on here. Ooh, hello there. Do you have a horn? No, you don't. Okay. Oh, that's embarrassing for you. I didn't know if you had a horn or not. Of course, you can see there's even more over there. I'm going to take out that guy, as he's the only one with a bow, so he's the only one who's an immediate threat to me. But you could take out some of the rest of them if you want. Also, there's an arrow there. Can I grab that? Yep. You've got an arrow. You can reuse it with your own bow, so there's no reason to let it go to waste. So if your arrow is to hit certain objects like wood and stuff that can stick into, like in real life it would stick onto it, of course, you actually can get the arrow back and try again, which is really cool. Kind of reminds me of like Minecraft, where you can pick up your own arrows and stuff because they don't break on impact, right? So it's kind of cool. So make sure if you have an arrow in a spot that isn't too out of the way and you really want to reuse them, you can. So as you can see, we have the zip lines, which we didn't use back in the Skipper's Pavilion, but we can use them now. And also, we're fighting the pirates now on these top of these masts and stuff, which is, again, pretty cool. Again, maybe I'm just a little child inside, which I'm okay with, but I don't know. Who doesn't think it's cool to be on a pirate ship fighting pirates? I feel like that's kind of a cool direction. And it's a bit of a unique dungeon for the Zelda series, to be honest. Work our way up. We can see up there is the Bokoblin who actually caged us into the deck and also caged off the time shift stone, which is not good, hence why we're heading up here. And land here. And see what you got, matey. Okay, well, he had some moves, but not good enough for me, you know. And here is that device, which we can, thankfully, using our sword, simply move and correct his barring off of our area.
Good job, Link. Now the ship looks just like it used to. Foo-weep, that makes me so happy, Verb. I just need you to rescue me crew. I'm pretty sure they've been held in the brig inside the ship, Berserk.
Okay, we kind of may have an indicator as to where that may be outside of that.
Still pretty dangerous here, so I'll just wait on the boat, Zert. You can do it, Verb.
So he climbed all the way up here on his little hands, or I guess maybe he has the propeller like the other ones do, right? But either way, he had to work all the way up here just to tell us that, which is nice, but then he's just like, I'm just gonna go way back down in the car, pretty much. Whatever. Another area over here before we you could just hop down, of course, to where the main area is below us. But there is this extra area over here I want to take a look at, as you can see. We can't access this like top area any other way. So it is interesting. And as you can see, there's actually a spot to use our claw shot there. Though I believe we can't reach it here, though thankfully we can just hop down and reach it that way. So we don't have to worry too much. Is there some arrows here, hopefully? Bombs, I guess that's nice. So let's see, let me grab that and see where this takes us, because there's this whole other area back here, as you can see. There's another spot down there. And there is another spot down here, so it's like wall jumps from Mario, but a bit of a clunkier way of doing so. Hop down here. See, there's a spot with some goddess butterflies. I think we all know what that means at this point. Come on. There you go. Yep, another goddess wall here for those of you who need those. And a chest. I wonder what this will have for us. You may think it's going to be the dungeon map or maybe some money or a small key, but it's actually a piece of heart. I think this is the first piece of heart that's been in a dungeon since the first ever dungeon. So in case you're curious which ones of these have them, this is another one that may have one. There have been multiple playthroughs, by the way, where I 100% complete the game just for, you know, the fun of it, because I enjoy it. And I go to get all the pieces of heart, and I'm missing one by the end of the game, and it's usually this one. And I don't know why it's this one I always forget about, but for some reason, it's just one that I always overlook. So don't be like me. Come grab this one. It's not super out of the way. And, you know, it's nice to have it while we can. Let's hop down here. We have a place for a small key there, which of course we can't do anything with because small key and all. And we don't really have any more of those. Check a look at this barrel. Hopefully it has more arrows for us. We really could use them. Okay, thank you. And now I guess we'll head back down. The one thing I will say negative for this dungeon is there's a lot of backtracking, as you could tell. Thankfully, a lot of it is in the same, like, load zone, so you don't have to go through a ton of, like, loading screens. There's, I think, only, like, 2 in the entire area for, like, the mini-boss. Well, besides, like, you know, the boss room or whatever, but when you're just running around for the backtracking, it's not super painful, but it's still a little annoying. And, of course, the electrified crew down here is now back alive as well, which is a consequence of having the ship be all nice and new. But that will also get rid of... Oh, come on, dude. Making my movement so... I swung from the side. But yeah, it's a consequence of having everything be shiny and new, but then the barbed wire and stuff should go away, so, you know, you win some, you'll lose some. For example, we can now go over to this spot, which we didn't have access to before. Hello. Let me get rid of you. Okay, so that was taken care of. And a bunch of these areas are still barred off. There's a working fan here, and there's a door in here we actually couldn't access earlier, but that's not where the crew is being held. And from what the captain was saying, it seems like a top priority of ours should be getting those people out, so, or robots out. Guess we should go take a look and see what we can do. Anytime you saw a skeleton, take note, because this is where you're going to fight one of these guys. Again, only a few swings now, thanks to our upgraded goddess sword. Should take them out, which is nice. It means that it's a lot easier to have to encounter them. And something new about the bow. You may recall these Beamos as being a bit of a slog to take down. They aren't super tough by any means, but they're a little annoying having to do the stab at the end and all that. With the bow, if your aim is good, unlike mine, can you... There we go. If your aim is unlike mine and really good, you can immediately take them out by just shooting them right in the eye. My aim is not that good, hence why I probably won't be doing that a ton, but hey, I wanted to show it because if you actually have decent aim in this game, then it might be worth it to save a little bit of time by simply doing that. And it's kind of a cool little detail. It's not something the game ever really directs just right at you, but you could probably put two and two together when you realize that our swords what usually interacts with the time shift stones, the arrows can interact with time shift stones, and the fact that they do that, and our stab being the only thing that can usually take out those eyes, being the exception, maybe able to put those pieces together. Hello, everyone.
You are a human, aren't you, Berserk? So how did you get here, Weep? You came with the captain to save us, Weep. I'm so happy, Verm. But we can't get out of here while that sparky thing blocks the exit, Zert. I almost forgot to mention it, but the engine room is right below this brig. Bzzz. There's a corridor from the engine room that connects to this brig, Verm. But to get through the engine room there, you need to activate the 2 power generators in the engine room. You will need to activate the power generators in 2 different locations, Zert. Of course, can never be that simple. You can do it, Boo-weep.
Okay, so seems like we have a bit more to get through than just coming down here and breaking them free by taking out the enemies. They actually have this electric gate, and apparently we have to turn that off, which I guess makes sense, but also they're robots, so I feel like, you know, superconductivity and all that, there is a chance that they'd fare better than we would as humans, but what do I know? Maybe their internals would get fried or something. I really don't claim to know. So either way, we have to go turn off those generators, which thankfully they did mark on our map. So at least we have a kind of understanding of where we may want to go. I have a room over here. Let's take a look. I didn't come down here the first time because I knew this was where we needed to go, but let's see what's in. Okay, of course, there's more combat ahead of us. Take out one pretty easily, and then take out the other fairly easily as well. Thankfully, nothing too challenging. Again, now at this point with our powered up sword, it's a lot easier to do these things. A lot to see here. There is, of course, a box over here, a giant metal crate, and a switch, which I'm pretty sure anyone can put 2 and 2 together as to what you're probably intended to do here. Let's get that over there as fast as possible and see what exactly this does for us. It opens some windows to let some air in. How lovely. Okay, well apparently there's more to it than meets the eye. You can see through these bars that seems to be the generator in there we're after. Of course, we can't really access it quite yet. One of the things that the camera pan showed us there is that outside of one of these windows is actually a ladder, something we can, of course, go down and presumably see where it leads us to. Kind of weird that this is the way that they're intended to get around the ship and not just like a ventilation. Like, you can tell there's a door here. No other reason for it to be there. This is clearly how they designed it to be, but, you know, it's a little weird from their standpoint as the robots who probably built the thing. Anyway. So it seems like we've made our way to an engine room of some kind. You can see that there's a wall here and some other stuff that presumably means something bad. Up there is presumably where the robots are being held, but it looks like we really can't go anywhere. As you can see, that thing there isn't moving, that device there. Don't really know what would turn it on. But it seems like we're still missing a step or two. It could be those engines it was talking about, or that the robots were talking about turning on. So I guess we need to go track those down first, but at least we kind of know where to look in terms of where the engine room's at. Something you can do in this spot is you'll see that button up there the camera pointed to. I was going to say pointed, but it's pointed. Pointed to, and we may want to keep that in mind. So we know there's an engine-like looking device here that's being blocked up by electricity and metal bars. So that limits what we can do there. But something interesting and worth note is if we come over here to this room, Fee has something to tell us. What is it, Fee? Master, look up. You can reach the timeshift stone on the deck through the ventilation shaft in the ceiling. And some may question why she tells us that. Well, that means since we can see it, potentially we can hit it from down here, meaning we can actually change the look of the ship from, of course, its newer form to its older form simply by being in this area too. You don't have to be on the top of the deck. This, of course, will change some things about what we can access and areas we can now go to. One, we can get this chest here, which gives us our long-awaited dungeon map, something I've been waiting for a long time. It's always nice to see those extra rooms and see all those chests we've been missing out on, so we know where we're going and what to not leave behind. Here we have a lever, which thankfully still works even as the ship is a little bit older. something that you actually may not think would be true, because you think, oh, well, if everything else isn't working, why would a random lever work? But no, it works. Going over here, we have that fan that wasn't working earlier, and if we actually look through it, we can see that there is an eye there. And thankfully, since the fan's not on, we can actually shoot through the opening there and hit it, and just ironically enough, that's actually what opens the door. It could have activated something else, but nope, it's what locks the door. Amber relic there, gonna grab that. See a few more electric keys here, I think those are electric ones, I believe. You can see there's a few more bodies here, and presumably another generator there. So again, this changes some things. Let's move this so we can see another, presumably a ventilation shaft of some kind. And we have a little door here, or a little switch that opens a door on the other side, giving us another eye. Again, another pretty obvious puzzle, as long as you have the skills to follow it up, unlike me apparently. Which will then in turn unlock yet another door. And as soon as we left off at the little door thing, yeah, the door thing closes on the eye, so you have to be standing on that switch, so you can't get super close and make it super duper easy. We're gonna run back over here because the power generator, as you may discern just from the fact that it's a power generator, probably won't be working when everything is super old and millions, presumably, of years old. Oh, I'm surprised that actually hit. In case you're curious, actually another time to show something, if you are having a bow like arrow or like an arrow ready, but you don't want to waste the arrow because like something like that, you can just press B and it'll cancel out the arrow being shot. So it saves you an arrow, and it's nice to know that so we don't waste a bunch of materials. Let's grab those arrows to refill our stock in case we need them, and now we can enter this door with everything being new. Of course, there's gonna be a guy in here, which sucks, but once he raises his, oh come on, dude, raises this thing up, sometimes you have a chance to do a little bit of damage early on. Fortunately, that time it didn't work. Get some health there. And here we have generator number 1. Move that to the left, push A. Stuff we've done before, but as you can see, it actually starts getting stuff to move in that engine room, which kind of like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible type film. We have to go through the ventilation shaft. Master, I can confirm that, as mentioned by the crew, the engine room is now fully operational, but the corridor to the brig will not be passable until you activate the other power generator. I suggest hurrying to the second power generator. As always, can I get a thanks fee? Because thank you, Fee, for stating something that I knew, but I appreciate you making sure everyone's following along. So now we're going to head back to the main deck, because the other one, as you know, we kind of knew where it's at, but we can't access it any way that we may know how to, as of this moment. Heading back to the deck may gave us a few ideas. Of course, as I mentioned, the panning of the camera usually will give you a hint. It showed a boat that was like a raft or like a survival boat or something. I really don't know what you'd call him, but it's one of the boats that you'd see, like, people who are, like, when a boat's sinking, people get on. Survival raft, something like that. So let's climb up there and see what it has to offer for us, because you never know, could have some insights for us. Oh, hello there. Thank you for respawning and giving me that extra monster horn. Always appreciate it. Even if I don't need them for upgrades, sometimes it's nice to get those in case I want a little bit of extra pocket change without having to do a ton of work. Because again, we can always sell them to the night market guy. So here we have one of those little life raft boats, and as you can see, a pretty clear target there, which once you shoot, will lower the boat. And as you can see, the eye opens again, so you can actually keep raising and lowering it. You don't have to worry about it being like something that gets stuck wherever you're like going. You could actually, you know, pretty much have it wherever you want it to be. So as you can see there, what does this do for us, you may wonder? Well, thanks to the fact that the thing opens and closes, let's shoot it again. I just wanted to show it once that that's what it does in case you're curious beforehand. So now that we know it raises and lowers us, what does this really realistically help us do? Well, let us shoot the time shift stone for a moment. As you can see, then that changes everything. But this still works, which realistically, I don't know if that makes much sense, but hey, you know what? It helps us in the end, so whatever. I wonder how the paint thing works, like the paint just disappears and turns brown. Really don't know how that works. Because, of course, when it was shiny new, we could enter here. When it's not, there's barbed wire guarding it. But once it's new, we can't get past this electric fence. But once it's old, we can't get past the electric fence. It's kind of like a whole song and dance routine. It has to be just right. The Goldilocks on 3 bears, somebody touching my spaghetti, whatever. Here we have a lever, which we can then activate, which lets us, of course, get in here a lot easier. And as you tell apart from that light, there is another little air vent here, which allows us to access the time shift stone. The time shift stone again. The time shift stone again. Something you're gonna notice about me with the bow, just like with the slingshot, is that my aim is terrible. This isn't a thing for just Zelda. Any game, when it comes to having to aim something, I'm pretty terrible at. So now we've I'm actually kind of surprised Fia had nothing to say there. We activate both the generators, so now we know where to kind of head to. Actually, in fact, I think we can probably just go through this way. Actually, I think we have to go through this way. I don't even know what... Oh, no, we can't. I forgot. No, I was right. Because now that it's new and shiny, which it needs to be, we can't go through that electric gate or whatever, so we have to go through this way, which is whatever. It's not the biggest deal, but, you know. I would have loved for it to be, oh, I was actually smart and remembered something. Nope. So now we can go out this way, and hopefully everything's working, allowing us to... Oh, come on. Let's hope I can just backflip off. Hopefully everything will allow us to actually get into the engine room and will be functioning, which sounds like something that would be a terrible idea, having a bunch of those components moving around and active while you're inside it, but in this case, apparently it's the only way for us to actually get to where they're at, so that's lovely. And there's our first piece of proof that it's working, is that these piston-looking things are now moving up and down. Realistically, I don't know what this does for the engine by any means. Looks like it's just pounding into some steel floor, but maybe it's just to be like a trap or something. I really couldn't tell you. If those land on us, you can imagine it's not going to go well for us, so let's just try to avoid that. As you can see, it's all about timing, using your stamina wisely. Not too much in terms of tips I can give, or need to give, hopefully. Hopefully it's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, we have a spot here to whip, something that we haven't done in a little bit, ever since really getting it, in terms of using it for this, making a pseudo rope swing. As you can see, if we get enough momentum, we may be able to, yep, climb up to this spot, and see what's up here, because, you know, it's a little bit of an extra spot. As you can see, we've hit the mother lode. This is an area you could actually see back in the room there at the boss door, but there's no door to get in here. But there is this little secret, with air quotes, it's not really that hidden that well, that'll lead us to all these chests, netting us with a monster horn, making it the third one we've encountered so far, just from grabbing them. It's nice to see those. 100 rupees, always nice to get more money, of course. And it's kind of like a really cool thing to just go through all these chests super quick, to me. Another monster horn, they're being very generous with those. In fact, we have 6 now. Hopefully that's enough for us for a while. Don't foresee a day where we're going to have to go through more than those, hopefully. Another 100 rupees, so 200 rupees in total, and 2 monster horns. And what's this last chest going to contain for us? A evil crystal. So yep, we get 3 rare materials, and I don't know if it's random what they are, and we just got weirdly lucky or unlucky with the 2 monster horns and an evil crystal. We got 3 rare materials in total and 200 rupees. I feel like, considering it's not, as I said, really hidden that well or out of the way that much, there's no reason not to grab it. And it's just a really cool little loot room, which makes sense for a pirate ship that it would have like a little storage facility type treasure room, right? So here we have yet another spot where we need to swing, and as you can see, it's a little bit more timing based on the fact that, of course, the engine's here. So what we're trying to do is get on top of the engines, or piston things here, as they're moving. Oh, I missed! And that's embarrassing, because now I want to sit here for a moment and try to get crushed. But as you can see, we want to get on top of it, because presumably that's the only way we can actually progress here. And, again, maybe I just don't understand how electronics work, and I'm sure that's part of it, but I feel like this doesn't realistically do anything for the ship, having these, like, pistons just, you know, stomping on presumably metal, and there's nothing like it's realistically doing. Like, I don't know, maybe there is something that I'm just dumb. Wouldn't surprise me. So here we have another, oh, I can't actually use the whip for that. I was hoping it would just be a nice little shortcut. Speaking of shortcuts, that's what that does. It activates a little bit of a shortcut, so we don't have to go through all that every time we want to come back here. And of course, here's that ventilation shaft I was talking about, which is kind of funny. This is the first one we're going in the engine room, allowing us to have access to, hopefully, where we need to let those guys out. Have a lever here, and presumably so. It's weird that there was no way to, it's like, okay, maybe I'm the one who finds this. Okay, I'll describe this after. You really came to save us, Weep. My circuits are glowing with happiness, Verm. Really, Verm, you came on board to find Nehru's flame, Zert. If you want to reveal Nehru's flame, you're going to have to regain control of the ship, Weep. The control room is next to the brig, but its huge door is sealed shut. You'll need a key to open it, Verm. First, you should head to the captain's cabin, Zert. The control room key should be in there, Weep. Please take this key as thanks for rescuing us, Verm. This key will open the door to the captain's cabin, Weep. Don't know why that random person in prison had that, but okay. You can get to the captain's cabin through a door in the deck of the back room. So there we go. We have our, presumably our goal. But I'm getting out of here, Verm. Sorry to leave you on your own, but you look like you can handle it, Zert. We're counting on you, Weep. Okay, so as I was describing, also, we only see one leave here, but all of them will despawn as you'll see that we're in there. It's kind of funny to see them walk out. maybe it's just me who finds this weird. How come it was, like, designed in the ship that this electric gate can't be turned off? But there's this back entrance that goes through the engine room. That makes and it goes through a vent, too, which to them is probably not, like... It's probably just slightly smaller than their bodies, so they probably just have to crouch down slightly. But even that still feels like an oversight in design to me. I don't know. Again, from a dungeon design standpoint, of course, all of it makes sense, right? But from a storytelling standpoint of, oh, this is an actual pirate ship where these people captained it, and that was an actual place to, you know, hide their criminals in, like, a little jail or whatever. Doesn't really make much sense to me, but, you know, it's whatever. It doesn't have to fit together like a puzzle piece. You can do your own assumptions and make your own story out of it. I think that's part of the charm of Zelda. Head back up here, and, ooh, hello there. Always nice to get a few extra of Amber Relics, because, you know, why not? Let us grab... Bam. And this is just a little shortcut for us now. Of course, it was kind of needed earlier with the actual puzzle of the time shift stone, but now it's just a nifty little shortcut for us to get around, which, again, I appreciate. And do I really want to grab another one? Why not? Again, this is the first time we've seen one, I think, with the horns since we got the whip. I have to take advantage of that fact. Ooh, hello there. Thanks for the arrows. And now we're looking for the captain's quarters, which is here, presumably. The only locked door, I believe, that we haven't gone into yet. Okay, let's see what kind of booty the captain had in his room. Well, there's a statue, electricity, and a locked gate. Huh. So I guess that means we can't see the captain's quarters when they are shiny and new, because we can't get past the electric gate, and until that grate's gone, we have to, of course, have the grate gone. I was going to steal it and then make a joke about it, but I'm just gonna kill him. I really couldn't care less. Okay, so now let's hit that one more time, and now we should be able to enter the captain's quarters and actually progress inside of it. Another thing cool about this dungeon and the time shift stone mechanic in general is how the song and like the music actually changes slightly when you're in the past or in the present. I think that's kind of a nice little touch. Small, but nice. So of course now the electric field is down, so we can now access here. You can see that there is a little bit of a fan here, which gives us access to that. Let's get rid of these small guys first. I don't feel like dealing with them later. We have like a vent here. We have a grate there. So let's activate this and be ready for combat, because there's a Beamos there, and there is also a electric bokoblin. So we'll want to be prepared for both those things. Like, first things first, let's get rid of that Beamos so we don't have to worry about him. I'm going to see if I can get good with my aim. There we go. Okay, only 2 shots. That's not bad. And now let's get rid of... Okay. Despite having every advantage in the book, they... Ooh, hello there, Golden Skull. So having every advantage in the book, they really threw that pretty amazingly. So why did we want it to be new outside to get rid of those guys? Well, it's because if we stand on the switch, another vent opens, and as you can see, there's an eye at the other end of it, and there was a Beamos in the way earlier. So we kind of had to do this in order to actually access that vent, which then gives us access to the room nearby. And here's a little bit of a tip for you. You can see there's some Beamos in there. You can actually take them out while in this room instead of having to fight them when we're in there. When we're in there. It can be a little difficult to get the right shot, especially if your aim is bad like mine, but it can be nice just enough to worry about fighting those two as soon as you get in here, because I believe both of them aggro on you like immediately. There is a third one that we cannot shoot due to where he's at, but once we enter here, he won't notice us immediately, and we can just shoot him and get rid of him. And all of that to finally get the ornate looking chest that we know and love all so well. And what's it contain for us? Well, of course, it's going to contain a squid carving. Okay. It's a squid-shaped statue studded with intriguing suction cups. And it has an intriguing design. And I get that octopus, kraken-looking things are something that you will, you know, it's like a, kind of goes hand in hand with pirates, but it's kind of weird that their key looks like a kraken and it's just a statuette. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's just kind of weird to me, but whatever. With that, we have our key. Okay. I didn't really mean to... I was going to say blow you, but at the same time, so I'm not going to say that, even though I already said it. So now with that, I'm going to make sure we have max arrows and everything. You can, of course, break a few more of those barrels if you want to. I really don't see the need to. But with that, I believe that's everything, like, done. Yep, so that's, like, all the chests, I think, and everything else. So we opened every chest. We got all their booty. We got everything else. I think it's time for us to go grab the flame. a really unique dungeon, and I hope you kind of see why it was kind of unique comparatively and why it's just kind of a cool one. I do think conceptually a lot of the puzzles are in this one. There's some cool with the time shift stones, but really having to do the like engine room stuff was kind of to me, and it still is kind of to me. Just, I don't know. I don't really like the back and forth. I think that's my biggest complaint with the dungeon, and that goes for a lot of dungeons in Zelda, is a lot of back and forth, and I understand that backtracking is a part of it, and that's not what I'm complaining about. I just feel like this one does it a little too much, but maybe that's just me. I get it's a pirate ship, so there probably ought to be a little bit of it, but I still don't think it's bad by any means. I think it just does the backtracking a little too much, but it's still easily my favorite dungeon in this game, I think. I say I think because Skyward Sword actually has a lot of really cool dungeons. There are some not great ones and some I'm not a fan of. Like, I'm not a big fan of the linear mining facility. It's just a little too slow paced for me, and I really don't like how it's laid out. But then there's some like this and the Ancient Cistern that I think are really well done. So of course, once again, we have to do our favorite thing, which is we have to find out how to shape this in so that way everything fits into its proper place. This one's pretty complicated. As you can see, there is like a spot in the middle where presumably we're going to have to keep the middle thing at. But we have different amounts of like blocks here due to the squid. So once again, I'm going to start off by trying to match them, and there we go. Push it in. The hentai's attacking. Where's the sacred flame? Hello? Sacred flame? Oh boy. Well, it seems like that statue was a bad— oh my god, the ship is tilting. Seems like that statue was a bad omen indeed, because now we're getting attacked by something that kind of looks like a kraken. Or a portmaster. Judging by their size, these tentacles belong to a monster of considerable size. The current situation is difficult to determine with complete accuracy, but signs indicate that the ship is under attack. No crap! If we do nothing, there's an 80% chance the ship will capsize. I recommend forcing it back with the sacred power, then exiting to further assess the current situation. Guess we have to put that sacred flame on pause, because apparently we ticked off the goddamn friggin' tentacle monster here, thanks to having that statue that was a squid-like creature. And of course, you can see there's some Donkey Kong here too, because why not? So yep, we actually have to make a daring escape to the deck of the ship so we can actually see what's going on. And unfortunately, the capsizing is happening very quick, because as you can see, the water is frickin' rising. We have to move. The ship will keep tilting back and forth, as you can see. Things will start moving around like barrels and whatnot we'll have to keep an eye out for, like that. And you want to watch out because those will knock you back and do some damage. And all the while, they have this chase music going on, and it's just such a cool segment. And of course, then we have these tentacles that come out, and I cannot do any damage to them without a Skyward Strike, meaning it's mandatory to use these. I know we haven't used them a ton despite it being kind of a pretty major feature, but now we finally actually now have a reason to use them. We actually have to use them, and holy crap, I didn't realize the ship was that big to the point where we see a void in it if we didn't make that jump. And once again, it's catching up to us really freaking quick. Let's get out to the deck, please. Warning, Master. I sense an evil presence on the other side of this door. There is a 90% chance that is the primary body mass of a creature whose tentacles are destroying the ship. I suggest making all necessary preparations before exiting to the outside of the ship. My god, is it terrifying to hear that from Fee of all people. Because, yeah, while Fee delivers it in a robotic line, keep in mind, every other fight up to this point, Fee has not warned us about. Even though it's pretty obvious there's a fight coming, she's always just been like, oh yeah, you know, it's whatever. This time we're getting a warning, we're seeing the damage this thing can do. This was intimidating the first time I played this game, and it's still even now such a cool segment having to run back through the ship and stuff. So, what do you say we go take out this thing, see what's going on the deck? What is the monster that Fee is describing of pure evil? Pure evil indeed, because as you can see, it's too late for half the ship. It was split in half Titanic style. What creature could have done this? Abyssal Leviathan. Tantalus. So if my tone didn't give it away, and you probably feel the same, it's a little underwhelming. I'll kind of explain my thoughts on the boss as we go forward, but first I want to explain how to fight it. First off, the tentacles are going to keep coming up and will try to attack us as they come out. You'll want to watch out for the ones that will try to grab you and stuff. What you have to do is use the Skyward Strike to damage them and get rid of them. After a few are done, we'll progress to the next part of the stage. You can see they'll all disappear. We'll then want to face the front and get our bow ready. As you can tell from that giant eye in the center, that's probably going to be our weak spot. And thanks to the bow being the dungeon item, you'll want to get ready to shoot it right in the eye. Once it goes down, be prepared to do some damage because, as you can see, we can first go in, do some jump attacks, do some spin attacks, get even more damage in, and thanks to our advanced goddess sword, should be able to do a little bit more damage. If you use Skyward Strikes, you can get rid of those dreads it has on its head, which are very fashionable. And overall, it is not super complicated right now, but, maybe it'll get more as we progress. Of course, more tentacles are going to come out, they're going to come out faster, and they're going to attack us faster as the fight progresses. You want to be careful of that, and stay on the move, so that way less things try to grab you. So, yeah, as I was saying, I love this dungeon. I love the running away segment. I have very few complaints with the dungeon itself outside of the backtracking being a little intense at some points. But this boss fight is such an underwhelming fight. It's just... In terms of the fight itself, it's okay. I don't think the fight itself is bad. I actually think the fight, itself is okay. But the design of this guy, with its boobs, its moves of some kind, it has a plump beer belly and stuff. Its dreads. It's one eye. It looks like... I made the joke about the second boss we fought looking like Mike Wazowski, and then this one looks like Mike Wazowski's girlfriend from the show. It's just underwhelming and looks bad. Its design isn't good. It's not terrifying. It doesn't match, especially with the warnings we got from Fee and stuff. You'd expect this thing to be some kind of demonic-looking creature of pure terror. And it's just this underwhelming fight, and yeah. A lot of people share my opinion that it's an underwhelming design for the creature. So it's not like that's an unpopular opinion by any means. And again, for me, does it take it away from the whole dungeon? A little bit, but not a ton. I still think this dungeon's the best in the game. I think from boss fights, the Galactos is a lot better, but I don't think that this one is bad. The boss fight itself, as I said, to actually fight is not bad. I find the fight really fun. Also, you can see that some of the ships got torn off. The fight itself is actually pretty fun in my mind. It's just, I find the design of this creature way too underwhelming. Especially compared to everything cool happening around it. And it's wrecking up the place. And since that box fell down, you know what that means. It's time for us to head up. Keep an eye out, as barrels will sometimes spawn, as you can see, right when we're trying to get up, and we'll try to knock you back. Phase 2, baby. So things are a little different now. I recommend immediately getting a Skyward Strike ready because its hair is going to start coming after us. As I mentioned, its hair is something that generally you can only do damage to with the Skyward Strike. Not the case here. You can actually get rid of it via just the normal swings. The main reason you want to do this is because those will quickly eat away at your HP, and that is not good. As you can see there, once they go away for a moment, that's your chance to go in and deal actual damage again. Not too complicated of a second phase. In fact, some may find it easier, but those swarms of the hairs can actually do quite a bit of damage if you're not prepared for them. I recommend staying a little further away from him, like around this spot, so that way you have more time to react to the hair coming. Or the tentacle hair, threads. The things coming at us. And as you can see here, the reason you have to watch out for them, even if you're far away, is because they will block him or his eye from being shot. This is why you have to get rid of them and wait for him to start doing this scream thing, so that way he can actually take damage. There we go. So that is another reason why you have to do that. Let's get a Skyward Strike here, maybe? Just for the heck of it. Maybe do a little bit extra damage. There we go. For ruining this segment, or making the segment not as cool as it could have been, I sentence you to death. course, we got our heart container. Always a nice reward to have. And if you couldn't tell, this is where the sacred flame is held. At the rear of where the ship once was, though of course not much of the ship remains now. The ship was or the flame was here the whole time. Don't know what the engine room had to do with any of it, but at least we found the flame in the end anyway. After all, that was our main goal here. The flames of Nehru have transformed your blade, expanding Fi's powers. She can now help you use your dowsing abilities to search for more objects. With your sword enhanced, you can learn a new melody. I recommend we return to the Isle of Songs.